So this video is kind of like the prequel to all of the videos. This is how my interest in the occult and tarot happened. So kind of like my new age to Jesus testimony. So I'm just gonna read my notes. I don't like how this lighting is adjusting, but it'll do. So backtracking a little bit so you understand kind of like how I was raised, and how I got into things of the world. I've always been a spiritual person, even as a child. Sorry, there's distractions around me. Yeah, so I've always been a spiritual person, even as a child. And I grew up going to a non-denominational church in Denver, Colorado. So for those who don't know what a non-denominational church, it's a church that is basically not aligned with any specific denomination of Christianity. So for example, we're not Baptist, Pentecostal, Protestant, Methodist, Catholic, or anything. Anybody I've always explained it as a anybody who wants to come to the church can come to the church type of church. I was also raised in what people would consider to be a TV church. So one of the big churches that you see on TV. I went to Heritage Christian Center with Bishop Dennis Leonard. And that church is actually now the Potter's House, the one that Sarah Jakes Roberts preaches at in Denver. So that's a little bit a backstory on how I was raised. So as a child, I knew what God's presence felt like personally. I knew what his presence felt like because I just knew, I grew up in church, and I grew up remembering the feeling of God. But I became confused over time because my mom was, she started telling me, because she had us believing in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and all of that different stuff. And because she talked about these things. Sorry, I'm a little distracted, but I'm still talking. So because she talked about, because I had such like deep belief in God, and I had a deep belief in everything else that she told me existed. When she told me that Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and all of those things didn't exist, and that it was just something for fun, it started to get me thinking like, okay, so is God real? So eventually at a young age, I departed from the faith, which lets me know the enemy was after me since the freaking womb. So through my school age years, I experienced a lot of rejection. Always felt like an outcast. And when I got older, probably hitting end of middle school, beginning of high school, I started to wear my rejection through my outward appearance. So I felt like I was rejecting societal norms, and I also felt like I was rejecting, like, if the world's gonna reject me, then I reject the world first type of attitude. So it turns out I have like a big thing for an underdog kind of story. So let me move this over because my notes. So stay with me. This starts to lead how I got into the occult. So after graduating high school and entering my second semester of college, my mom got sick with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is a leukemia that is usually found in children. But I guess I used to say my mom was kind of emotionally like a child, because of a lot of the stuff that she went through. So I don't come for her. I don't come for her in that. It's just she went through a lot of trauma as a child, and so that led her to be oh, I hate this lighting. That led her to be very kind of childlike in her behavior. But yeah, during this time, because my mom was sick, I ended up meeting a guy, and he took my attention away from all the stuff I was dealing with at home with my mom being sick. And so I started looking into his zodiac sign and mine, because I was really like looking into our compatibility, I guess. Sorry, I keep leaning forward into the so because of our signs, ooh, Jesus, don't let that happen. Because of our signs, I had kind of convinced myself that we were destined to be together. I don't know if I should throw out what signs he, like the signs. I don't know if that's important, but if it is, I'll put it later. I'll talk to God about it and see what he says. And if he tells me that he feels like it's important, then I'll put it somewhere. And if it's not, then I won't, because I'm not trying to do anything he's not telling me to do. So, yeah, because of our signs, I convinced myself we were destined to be, but it wouldn't work for a number of reasons. The relationship wouldn't work, and that's because it just wasn't meant to work. He didn't want it to work. I wanted it to work. He was doing his own thing. So I got obsessed with natal charts and like compatibility, and I spent a lot of my free time invested in that. I'm the kind of person who gets obsessively interested in stuff. So yeah, we broke up, but I was still interested in all of it. So my mom was sick. She was in and out of the hospital. I started being bored because I was in the house a lot. And I began to indulge into other things. So I quickly got into tarot. I started watching stuff about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I was reading people's natal charts to them. I was trying to open the third eye. I was into astral projection, bought tarot cards, and divulged into like this new, seemingly bright world of the occult. And that was okay. I was probably into that for about 2 years. One thing I want to throw out there with the tarot, I could never read the cards. For some reason, I just could not. They never worked for me. It was like, that's crazy because I used to live right over there, and I'm sitting over here talking about how I got out of that, and I'm like literally across the street from where I lived when I was doing that stuff. Crazy. But yeah, I could never read the cards properly. You know how most people just sit there. I used to have to just come up with stuff in my head because like I couldn't read the cards, which I think is kind of what everybody does. But let me know if you have been in New Age and got out of New Age, if you just used to sit there and like just say whatever came to mind, because that's what I used to do. And it didn't start really working for me, I felt, until I started smoking weed. So I had met my during this time, my mom passed away in June of 2018, and then 3 months later I got with my ex-fiance. Yeah, it was quick. I was vulnerable, and I showed him the stuff that I was interested in. He was kind of interested in it too, but not as much as me. His main focus was money. And this kind of leads into my first testimony video. So there are a lot of details that I kind of left out, but if God leads me to share them, I will. But this is kind of how it all started, like the prequel. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. I'm probably gonna make a bunch of videos today because feeling like I need to get the ball rolling on this. God is really like pushing me to share my testimonies, and it gets way deeper than just this. So I feel like the longer I take to do it, I don't know, the longer I take to do it, the longer it takes for things to happen for others too, to get delivered and stuff. So just doing what he tells me. Thank you.